We're joined now by Robert Rosenthal from IlliniBoard.com. Follow him at ALioni and also subscribe to IlliniBoard.com. Me and Robert go a couple years back. When I got to WCIA, we started collaborating on some stuff, so we know each other pretty well. And Robert was introduced to Logan Lee earlier this week. Logan gave him a little tip that he could go see Ayo on in Cleveland for the Rising Stars game. So we have Robert on to talk about his week. Robert, this is our 1 year anniversary, by the way. We started our podcast 1 year ago, so we're having you on to help celebrate with us. But
you're big time. Thank you.
Yeah, you got any little cupcakes with a single candle in them or anything like that, or just?
We should have.
What is the?
We should have done more.
Is that paper? What is 1 year anniversary? Yeah.
Neither of us are there yet. We haven't hit that.
No.
We don't have the ring on our finger, so we're not sure.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll get into it. Logan tipped off Robert because Robert asked about you did like a podcast on the road, right? And asking questions.
Correct.
And Logan had a question for you. So I'll let you guys talk through that and how that went about.
So you had tweeted that. I knew you were at Rutgers and you had experienced that whole debacle. And then you made the comment about going to East Lansing. And then I saw your tweet. I saw the question or whatever. And then I started thinking to myself, like, if he's going to make that trip, he's probably going to go by Cleveland. And then I had to figure out, like, when was Illinois playing? Like, would this work? Like, is this even a stupid question to ask you? And then I looked it up. I'm like, that actually would be doable. I wonder if he's doing that. So that's when I asked you if you were going to stop in Cleveland to see Ayo. I realized after you said that you didn't realize it was the Rising Stars All-Star Weekend game.
Right.
But, I just kind of threw that out there, and sounds like it worked out for you.
It really did, and I'll take you through the whole thing. So my original plan for the trip was just to make Thursday a driving day. So I was going to go. So I basically drove to Rutgers in 2 days just because I didn't want to do 12, 13 hours in one day, or I didn't want to get up Wednesday morning. See, it was 6 o'clock Central game or 7 o'clock Eastern, but so I would have had to leave at like 4:30 in the morning to do it in one day. So I just didn't want to do that. So I did it in 2 days, stayed in Pittsburgh the first night, drove the rest the second night. While I was in Pittsburgh, I saw the weather forecast for Champaign and that storm was headed up toward Michigan, like headed toward Toledo, basically, right on the Michigan-Ohio border. And so I'm looking at the forecast and I'm like, if I'm driving in one day on Thursday from Piscataway to East Lansing, I'm going to be getting there early to late evening, and I'm going to be right in the teeth of the storm as it's rolling through. So I'm like, okay, well, I better switch up my trip. So I'm like, okay, what's halfway? What's a decent drive? I'll drive a chunk of it. So I started to look at like, where's the rain snow line with the storm? And it was right at Cleveland, basically. And so I'm like, that's it. I'll stay in Cleveland. That's easy enough. So I changed my hotel. I canceled one night in East Lansing and changed my hotel to Cleveland for Thursday night. I'm like, okay, there's my drive. So I have that set up, and then I'm literally doing the questions live. I'm not rereading them. I'm just reading them while I'm recording the podcast as I'm driving. I see your question. I'm not an NBA guy, so I don't even know it's the All-Star break. I just go look at Ayo's box score every. So I don't even know that. So if you listen to the podcast, when I get to that question, I'm like, oh wait, the Bulls are playing the Cavs. Like, I could go to that. I'm staying in Cleveland tomorrow night. Like, so I just the wheels started spinning. Then of course I look it up and I find out it's the Rising Stars game. And so then I completely changed all of my plans in that I could do that. And then it's about 3.5 to 4 hours from Cleveland to East Lansing. And the game was at noon Eastern. So I figured if I leave by 7 a.m., I could make that work. So I ended up not staying in East Lansing at all. I did 2 nights at the hotel in Cleveland. So I stayed there Thursday night. On Friday, I went to the game, went back to that same hotel, got up early Saturday, and drove all the way to East Lansing and made it there for the game. So, I went from planning 3 nights in East Lansing to 2 nights to 1 night, and then I just didn't stay in East Lansing at all. I thank you for that because it got me to go see Ayo in the Rising Stars game.
I had no idea how tough of a ticket that would be when you had said that. I didn't know if there were, I didn't know what the possibilities for that were when I tweeted it out. I was literally just throwing it out there just to see. I mean, I assume there were obviously tickets available.
Yeah, it was all I did at StubHub because it was sold out. It's interesting because they do. So basically, the reason it was 9:00 Eastern for the Rising Stars game, I guess it was 8:00 Central. The reason it was so late because they did the celebrity game first, and tickets were not good for both. So they did an entire crowd for the celebrity game. Okay. Then they cleared everybody out, and then even when you bought the ticket, it was like don't arrive until 8:30 for the 9:00 game because I think there were obviously I got there right at 8:30. There are obviously people who had tickets, maybe all session tickets kind of thing,
Right.
Mine was just a single session thing. So once they allowed the people in, I could go in there. So it was easy enough on StubHub to just grab a ticket. I mean, the only thing was, I'll let you guys guess how much parking was. Downtown Cleveland for the All-Star for that. Downtown Cleveland.
Oh, for
I parked
Friday.
in a garage like 5 blocks away.
$80.
I was going to say 75.
$60. Good. I got a deal according to you guys.
Yeah. Friday night probably would be if you were going tonight, obviously.
Oh my God.
With the All-Star game being tonight, and even Saturday with the Saturday night stuff they do, but that's still that's pretty incredible that you were able to do that. You haven't seen him play since he left Champaign then, right?
I have not.
Yeah.
I have not. I like when I say I'm not an NBA guy, like when I watch this game, I watch this thing and it's only college. That's all. Like I'm seeing guys. I'm like, oh yeah, he was at TCU. That's my only connection to the Rising Stars game is where these guys played in college. I just, if you lined up all their names and said, what team is he with? I would get 3 of them correct.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. Like I said on Twitter when I was there, I was embarrassing because I'm sitting there with my camera up.
It was cool.
Like a sports parent. As I joked on Twitter when he went over to greet DeMar DeRozan, and I later found out that Zach LaVine was sitting next to him. Yeah. My emotion is that of a mom in the stands. I'm like, oh, his friends are here. That is so neat that they came to watch him play. I'll get them together after the game and we'll take pictures. That was my entire vibe the entire night. But it was fun, man. That's our boy.
That's cool.
And he's there, and he's, it was just a lot of fun to see him on that stage.
Brian
That's
Randall,
what I wanted
too.
to. Yeah.
Brian Randall. That's correct. Yes, as the coach of the other team.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to ask you about was, we're seeing the success that Ayo's having. And I know none of us here are recruiting gurus by any means, but how big is what he's doing with the Bulls right now and in the NBA? How big is it for what Brad Underwood can sell?
I think it's very big, mostly because he wasn't a 5-star and he didn't make the McDonald's All-American game. And then he went in the second round. I think that is the whole pitch that Underwood has, which is, hey, look, this guy, we took him, he's number 32 in the composite rankings, and he was a first-team All-American here. And, people are going to wake up now as good as he's been in the NBA. The next Illinois player isn't going to go in the second round because people are going to say, hey, that program has something, to be able to sell that, look, everybody's overlooking you. You should be a 5-star. Ayo should have been a 5-star. He's a first-team All-American. He should have been a lottery pick. You can sell that. People are disrespecting you, and we can help you prove it kind of thing. And so, that's what his whole career has been. He should have been a McDonald's All-American. He should have been a top 20 player. He played like that, and he should have been a lottery pick. He just keeps proving it to people.
Yeah. Me and Logan recorded the rest of this episode before you hopped on here. So for those listening, we are going to kind of overlap here behind the scenes podcast stuff. That's what I just told Logan before you hopped on was it might be me fanboying and my bias, but I feel like if he's successful, he's got a movie script kind of life, like not leaving the state of Illinois, turning Illinois around, falling in the draft, and going to his hometown Chicago team. I just feel like if he continues to succeed, that would be a pretty good script.
Yeah. Did you guys watch that? Did you see the video that, what's the guy from The Ringer, the NBA guy from The Ringer?
Yes.
Kevin O'Connor. Yeah, Kevin O'Connor.
Yeah. I mean, that was so good just for a complete outsider NBA guy.
Yep.
Not that he stumbled on the story, but, as he's putting this video together, he's like, oh my gosh, like this guy, like even if he never gets better than he is right now, has such a storied, he's going to have a 10-year career in the NBA and possibly at his hometown team after playing for his home state. Like it means a lot when other people completely disconnected that don't even follow college basketball find his story and make it known, NBA wide that, that's his story. And like, the story with him is also his family. Like they came to every game. You go to road games, they're, if I was still here, that family would have been in Piscataway at his game. Like they just didn't miss. And now they get to see him in his hometown, and he continues to prove people wrong. It's crazy. It's amazing.
Were they in Cleveland? Did you see him at all?
I don't. You know what? I don't know. I
would assume they were.
Yeah. I would think so.
Yeah.
They had
His
to go
friends were there
2020 and weren't able to travel, so take advantage of the opportunity this year.
Yeah, great point.
So this team that we're watching right now, obviously you have better seats than we do. We're watching through TV now. You're courtside. We've seen games like Rutgers, and then you see games like Saturday. I just feel like they're so far apart. Are we eventually in the next 4 games, are we going to narrow down to what this team is? Is it a matter of still incorporating Curbelo in there because he's missed so much time? Where are you at with this team? Because we've seen so many different types of games from them.
Yeah, the Rutgers game was the surprise because the effort wasn't there. The biggest surprise, and even being there. I mean, part of it is sometimes in road games like this, and I'm thinking back to Illinois teams that would go 7-11 in the Big Ten or whatever. Once you get down and you make a little run and then they push back on that run, like there's some teams that are just like, hey man, let's get to the buzzer, like go through the motions, rebounds aren't chased down. There's an effort element to things, and we've watched enough teams that, God bless them, the season's a losing season and they're kind of going through the motions and such like that. So to see a going through the motions second half from Illinois at Rutgers was a surprise. I mean, Underwood talked about it. I mean, all this Pizza Hut stuff came from him saying, like, I didn't understand my team, and they wanted to get in a rumble, and we just kind of laid down for him. And I got to coach him better, and I got to have him more prepared because this is not my kind of team that would do that. So maybe maybe Rutgers was a good lesson of like effort is everything, and you've got to go at this very, very high rate because these teams in the tournament are going to be gunning for you just like last year. So maybe it was a good lesson, but I tend to maybe after that performance on Saturday throw out what we saw from at Rutgers, make it the burn the tape game where they learned their effort lesson. It really wasn't anything more than the shots weren't falling. They got discouraged and stopped chasing rebounds and loose balls, and it snowballed from there. And so, perhaps with that fixed, I mean, look, we started this game, 2 for 15 from 3 or whatever until Grandison got hot, or 2 for 12 until Grandison got hot. So it was, this was not a hot shooting game, but everything else was there, even though the shots weren't falling. So they're going to have to shoot really well to do it. We know what this team is. We know that it's get the ball into Kofi, and if they double Kofi, we have 3-point shooters open, and it's that simple. That's the team, but it also takes effort and rebounding and loose balls and not fouling and everything else that Underwood's talking about.
Yeah, matchups. I think the matchups are going to be. We learned that last year. I think with Loyola. I think matchups are going to be huge in what we see on the other side of the court, because There's some teams that can match up with Illinois, and if they do it
Yep.
and Illinois is not hitting shots, then it could be a long night.
Yep. I think we'll see a lot from, I mean, who knows with Michigan now after what happened just now? We don't know who's going to be, don't know who will be coaching on Sunday. We don't know who will be playing. But it was very telling to beat Rutgers by 35 here and then lose on the road.
Yeah.
It was very telling to really handle, Kofi went crazy against Maryland. Then they play the game at Maryland without Kofi and lose by 14 or whatever it was. So it'll be interesting to see the difference between the Michigan game without Dickinson in Champaign and then the Michigan game with somebody who can stand in there and hang with Kofi. That will be interesting. Now, are they going to have like 3 players suspended by Sunday? Who knows? And we'll have to see. But it is kind of interesting that look, when you get a first team All-American center, that's your team and that's who you are and that's going to define you, and it all has to start there. And so then when you're playing teams with bigs like Purdue, it's going to be a struggle and everybody else is going to have to step up.
Yeah. A couple more things for you. We saw the selection committee release their top 16 on Saturday. What'd you think of Illinois on the 3? Is that where you expected? I thought of 4.
I was not at all expecting that. I was thinking maybe even a 5 with the 7 losses.
Yep. That's what I thought. Maybe 2.
So I saw that the committee made some comments about how that the injuries did play into it, which they have done in the past. I think it's a smart way they're just trying to find the, whatever it is, the 34 at-large spots. I think it is 32 now. I can't remember the number of at-large spots. I think it's 34. But, they're trying to fill out those spots and they're trying to find the best teams for those at-larges. And it's true that Illinois would have probably beat Maryland if they had Kofi. And it's not wrong of the committee to just say, look, they do have everybody back and they had some injuries and we need to take that into account. Now, I thought it was very interesting that Illinois was, they numbered 1 through 16. Illinois was the last 3 seed and Wisconsin was the first 4 seed.
Yep.
So it was very interesting to me that they said, Illinois is ahead of Wisconsin, because you look, Wisconsin has like 9 quad 1 wins. Resume wise, Wisconsin has a better resume, but Illinois beat them head to head. And Illinois, some of those losses were because they were missing injured players and the Marquette game and everything else. So, that was very, very surprising that the committee did say, you know what, I think Illinois is better than Wisconsin. And so that's something we can follow the next 2-3 weeks to say, okay, well, now we know. And now it's kind of a known thing that as of this day, the committee saw Illinois better than Wisconsin. So play equal to or better than Wisconsin the next 3 weeks, and you're going to be ahead of Wisconsin when it comes to seeding. So very, very surprised and very interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you. After the Rutgers loss, I had almost prepared not to see them in the top 16. Logan made a good point that this 12 and 3 seed was after the Rutgers loss. So they didn't really overlook it, but that says a lot about what they think about this Illinois team. Spring football should be coming up. I know you get a smile on your face when you talk Illini football. I don't know when spring football starts. Have they announced that yet?
They haven't given the full schedule. Bielema mentioned it in his signing day press conference. He laid out the schedule that they have, I think, 8 weeks of conditioning. Then they start spring ball and then, whatever. So he laid it out, but they haven't listed the exact, is it Thursday of that week or whatever, but we're weeks away.
Yeah. They did say the spring games primetime Thursday night, right?
April 21st. Yep.
There you go. All right. So we're getting close. So I can't let you leave without some sort of football talk. Just, I know we don't know a whole lot because there's so much new with this team. What are you looking for in spring? And I know Bielema kind of closes spring down a little bit. So I don't know how much you'll see, but what are some of the things you're looking for in the next 6-8 weeks before summer starts?
Well, the main thing to me is the replacements on defense. So if you look at the seniors who left, you have Isaiah Gay, Rod Perry, and Owen Carney on the defensive line. You have Jake Hansen, who missed the second half of the season with injury, but also Kalen Tolson at linebacker, who are gone. You got Tony Adams, who's gone, but then you also have Kirby Joseph, who declared for the draft. So with the 5 seniors leaving, Hansen, Adams, Gay, Carney, and Perry, and then you add in the 2 guys who declared for the draft in Tolson and Joseph, you're now missing the majority of that defense that played so well.
Yeah.
There are replacements. Calvin Hart started the first game in front of Tolson, so he probably would have been in front of him most of the season. You have other guys. Seth Coleman started 5 of the 12 games at the outside linebacker in front of Gay before Gay took over of the spot. So you have guys who are ready and even were starting last year, but still, that's a fair bit. I mean, Kirby Joseph had 5 picks and was first team All Big Ten safety. You're missing heart and soul in Jake Hansen. You're missing your 2 ends that kind of dominated the last month in Carney and Gay, and so it'll be a big adjustment for the defense. So that's the biggest thing. And then on offense, you just kind of want to see, especially in the spring game, what's this new offense? They're going to keep it vanilla again. They're going to not show anything. It'll be very simple offense in the spring game, but at least you get to see what Barry Lunny is thinking about running.
Yeah, and something that just popped in my head that I want to get your thoughts on. Were you as surprised by the Palcho decision as I was? I didn't even think that was a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, the possibility was there only because he had a season with 4 or less games.
Okay.
So, there's that, Jamal Woods is coming back for a bonus season. He's doing that because one year he got injured in the 4th game and missed the rest of the season. I think it was 2018. Okay. So he could then take that season as a red shirt, saying, look, I didn't play. Kendall Smith's the same way. He only played 2 games in 2019. He's coming back for 1 extra season just because he could use that one as a red shirt. But I didn't know, and I wasn't thinking that the NCAA would allow for 2020 to be used as that season, because 2020 didn't count. So everybody, they just said, look, this season doesn't count. If you had 4 years to play 3 seasons on the field coming into 2020, you have that same number going the next year. It just doesn't count towards your eligibility. Well, so I thought it would be like, look, guys could maybe claim a redshirt year, but the NCAA would say, look, it was 2020. Everybody got a redshirt year. It doesn't matter. And I was very surprised that they made the argument that he only played in 4 games in 2020 and should get a bonus year, and the NCAA agreed. So really good news for the offensive line. When you're only coming back with 1 starter, it's very scary. To have 2 is still scary, but much better. So it's a really big deal for the line.
It's huge.
Good stuff, huge. Robert. Logan, you got anything else you want to ask him while we got him?
No, sir. All right. No, sir.
We're not gonna take up any more of your time then. Appreciate you jumping on, Robert. Keep grinding. Listen, you got it. Or read all this stuff at IlliniBoard.com. Robert, always nice talking. We'll see you next time.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Logan, again. Thank you
for
welcome. The tip. Thank you for the assist. It got me.
Glad I could help.
It got me to pay $60 for parking. I appreciate it. Yes,
how much was the ticket?
So I didn't want to sit upper deck because you could get upper deck for like $35. Yeah. And I just didn't want to do it. So I found they have kind of like 3 tiers to that stadium. And so I sat on the second tier. It was $71, I think I paid, something like that. So it wasn't bad.
Not bad at all.
71 for the ticket and 60 for parking.
Love it. Love it. I'm glad you got to see that. All right. Take care, Robert.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.